This episode is brought to you by thedolphinwars.com.
Take two. Welcome to King Dolphin Television. This is episode 420, our fourth annual Veterans Day program. I am Raymond. I am the author of the Dolphin Wars trilogy of books and ruler of the greatest pod on YouTube. And tonight, it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce Chuck Longley. He is the post commander of the Martinsburg American Legion Post 14. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
And before we get started, he's going to talk about the Legion, and he will also tell us about the things that they're doing at their local post. It's really an exciting endeavor that they are doing here in Martinsburg, West Virginia for the veterans. So before we get started, if you like these interviews, if you like these special days, if you enjoy the various things that King Dolphin TV has to offer, the book readings, the reviews, and of course all Just Cuz, please like, subscribe, share, chat. Thank you, Legatus. Sub, chat, comment, engage, enjoy, and donate. And of course, buy the books. And if you are also so inclined and want to, and yes, return for more. And if you are so inclined and want to keep the lights on here at King Dolphin TV, please follow what FKHC always says. Pay here so that Snorty and Trike won't visit. Given super chats, super stickers, or the tip link here. And Snort is trying to get the tip link up. We will get that. There it goes. And there is the tip link if you are so inclined to help keep the lights on here at the channel and help King Dolphin TV do all the amazing things we do. StreamYard is not cheap. So anything is greatly appreciated. Okay. And now let me see who is here, and we will welcome you fine people. Right now, it is just our lifeguard corps, the people that keep the stream going here. And we have our producer, Sandra, who helps keep the chaos out of the order. We have Tim, FKHC 2005. We have Legatus Legion I. And we have Snortopulpus Cuber. Thank you very much. And anybody else that will be coming on, we'll be sure to welcome them as they arrive. So, without further ado, how we will run this is, as usual, I will provide questions for Commander Longley, and we're going to chat about the Legion and all that, and then I will open it up for you guys to have questions. So make sure you got your questions all set to go. And let us begin. Okay. Let me see here. All right. Of course. Okay. Yeah. They know about Gumby, so it's not a chat unless Semper Gumby happens and things go chaos. But you know about that, right, Chuck?
Absolutely.
Okay. So give us a little bit of background about yourself. What did you do before becoming involved with the Legion, or as much as or as little as you want to tell us?
Okay, I'm glad to do that. So I'm by trade, I'm a career firefighter and paramedic with the Veterans Affairs Medical Center. I manage their EMS program. And then my military career started back in 1989 when I enlisted in the West Virginia Air National Guard. I served 32 years before retiring from the military, 15 of which I spent as a fireman, and then the last 17 or so I spent as an aeromedical evacuation flight medic, which essentially means I did ambulance work in the back of airplanes.
Nice.
So we moved wounded warriors to and fro. I have 5 deployments under my belt overseas, and finally decided after 32 years it was time to let those younger kids take on the torch. So before my retirement from the military, I'd already joined the American Legion. I was a member of the American Legion. I was a member of the Riders, which is one of our family units, which kind of got me started in getting involved with the American Legion. And then once I retired, I found that I had this extra time on my hands. And, like many veterans, I was looking for something to do with that extra time. I was missing the camaraderie of serving in the military together. And I found that the American Legion was a good fit. It was definitely a place that I could come and be among friends and be among folks that understood, what it's like to serve and that kind of a commitment. And so it melded pretty well together there. During my time in the American Legion, I've been the rider director for a couple of years, and just more recently in 2022, I was asked to step up and become the post commander for Berkeley Post 14 here in Martinsburg.
Okay. Now, in your military career, were you a traditional guardsman, or did you transition to the full-time ranks?
No, so my military career, I spent the entire time as a traditional guardsman from the very beginning. Now, early in my career, I worked full-time at the base as a state employee, but I never had the opportunity to be an active duty member.
Okay. All right. And thank you for your service.
Well, thank you.
Now, can you give us a brief history of the American Legion itself, when it started, and?
Oh, absolutely. Before I do that, though, I got to give some praise and a shout out to my lovely wife, Lisa Longley, and our children, who, without her support and their support, I could have never done the military stuff, and especially doing this American Legion efforts that I've put in. So I just wanted to shout that out there before I got too involved and forgot, because I couldn't do it without them. I really couldn't.
Of course.
They're very involved in the American Legion, both the kids and Lisa, my wife. So I needed to say that before we got too involved.
Are they watching?
I think they are. I'm coming to you guys tonight from the American Legion Veterans Engagement Center. I'm actually in our computer lab.
Oh.
And so she is downstairs tonight, helping support another veteran service organization tonight. The Marine Corps League is utilizing our facility for a meeting tonight. And so some of the members of our auxiliary are down there assisting with some food for them, some light snacks for their meeting tonight. So
awesome.
Always busy.
Always busy.
Always busy. Always
All
doing
right.
something.
Okay. Hello, Crouching Taylor, Hidden Swift, and Lombardi 1969. Hello and welcome.
Welcome.
Legata says, always give a shout out to your domestic commander in chief.
Absolutely. I agree. I almost messed up and didn't do that. So,
okay. So, brief history of the American Legion.
So the American Legion was founded in 1919 by World War I veterans. And we're the largest service organization with about 12,000 posts and roughly 1.8 million members across the nation and some abroad. The American Legion really has 4 pillars that it tries to strive to support and, to hold up the organization. And they are Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation, always supporting national security, Americanism, and children and youth programs. So those are the main pillars of the American Legion that we try to drive everything supporting one of those pillars.
Can you give an explanation of each of the pillars?
Absolutely. So our Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation pillar is all about supporting veterans and caregivers and their families. So it evolves into different programs to make sure that the veteran's caregiver gets what they need in some ways. Veterans, of course, are supported. So our national security pillar is really a lot about backing our active duty military, our Guard, and even our first responders. The American Legion realizes that first responders, police, fire, EMS are very important to our communities and our safety. Americanism. So the Americanism pillar is really about promoting civic pride, creating that respect for the flag and patriotic education, a lot of which these days just isn't as strong as what it used to be. So I feel like, Americanism is super important, and we try to support that here at our local post as much as we can. And then the last pillar for the American Legion is children and youth. And that's really investing in leadership, scholarships, moral development, and America's future. We've all heard before, the children are our future, and that's very true. And so the American Legion created that as one of its pillars because it wants to be able to support that and try to make that better and stronger because it is our future.
Okay. And you mentioned Agent Pepsi 1 has said, isn't that the truth? Americanism is few and far between at my school. She's a teacher, so she's speaking from experience.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is. It's very tough. I mean, I can remember going to school and, there was a flag in every classroom, and at the beginning of the day, it was the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't think that happens very much anymore, unfortunately.
And that's a shame. Thank God for the Legion.
It is.
Okay, and how does one join the Legion? Before I go into the subordinates, how does one join the Legion or become a member?
So you can actually go online to American Legion. I think it's AmericanLegion.org. You can Google search the American Legion to go online to the National, and you can actually sign up on National. And then if you are in the Berkeley County area and you want to be associated with our post, you can select that, and then they send that information to us. On a more local manner, if you want to stop down by our American Legion facility here at 300 East Stevens Street in Martinsburg, West Virginia, you can stop in and talk to any of our officers. You can go to our website, which is post14.wvlegion.org. And there's actually a tab on there that talks about what do I do if I want to join? How do I do it? And it'll direct you to the sites to sign up. You can call our number and leave a message. Leave a message on our answering machine that you're interested, and we'll call you back. I have an amazing adjutant Charles Stanley, he's a United States retired Marine, and he is all about membership. We will get back to you. He will more than likely want to come meet you somewhere for coffee if you're available to do that, and he will get you signed up. He's going to need a copy of a 214, but other than that, we'll get you signed up to be a member of the American Legion.
Okay. Is it for any veteran, or do they have to be have served in a period of war?
So the American Legion's a little different than a lot of people think of the VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars. It's a great organization. We work with them quite frequently on events. But the American Legion does not restrict membership to serving in a time of war or serving in a combat zone, like some other organizations require. So you have to have served honorably in the military, either currently serving or be honorably discharged from the military, and that makes you eligible.
Okay. All right. And you mentioned the riders, and so I'm going to go to the next question. What are the affiliates of the Legion?
Right. So we look at our post here. We have an American Legion family. And so, our motto here is one Legion, one family. And so our family's made up of other organizations or other parts of organizations. So you have the Legion, which, to be a Legionnaire, you have to be a veteran to be a Legionnaire. But then we also have an organization called the Sons of the American Legion. And as the name says, it is sons. So I am also, besides being a Legionnaire, I'm also a son because my father served in the United States Navy during World War II, so which makes me eligible to be a son. So the eligibility requirements to be a son is you have to have an immediate family, you have to have a family member who served. And so that makes you eligible to be a son. So another organization that we have that is very vital and is very supportive of the Legion is our auxiliary. So our American Legion auxiliary members are members who have to have either a husband, a grandfather, it could be a grandmother, it has to have a relative who served in the military to be a member of the auxiliary. Now, the auxiliary used to be like the ladies group. It was for females only. And so everybody thought of, the auxiliary it's just women. So it was, but that's now changed the last couple of years. And I'm sorry, I don't know exactly when, but it now has opened up to where men can join the auxiliary as well. So the auxiliary is super, man, I am so lucky here at the post to have such a strong family organization with our sons and our auxiliary. And then the last group is our riders. Now, I started out as a Legionnaire to get in, but primarily when I first started getting involved with the American Legion as a whole, I was very involved with the riders. So to be a member of the American Legion Riders, you have to be a member of one of the other organizations. Those are the primary organizations. So if you're a member of one of the other organizations and you have a motorcycle and you have a motorcycle license, then you can be part of the riders. And really, it's just it's a bunch of motorcycle enthusiasts who want to support veterans. Many of them are veterans and who enjoy riding their motorcycles. And we've come up with a way to tie the two in. And again, our rider group is pretty strong here and are very supportive of the post. And we really try to do things as a family. And that's what's making us have such great success. It's not because of what I've done. It's not because Chuck Longley is the commander that we're having great success. It's because we have a strong family and we do things as a family. We work together. And that's what's making us have such great success right now with all the endeavors that we've been doing.
Give me a second. No, I'm listening. I'm listening very intently. Also focusing on the chat. So
looked grumpy.
I'm not grumpy. Okay, so how many members are, for example, in your post? Because the one thing I noticed when I was a member in Maryland, I had never heard of the riders. I guess this particular post didn't have riders, so I found it very fascinating that you did have the Legion riders. But
so not all posts have Legion rider programs. We are fortunate that we do have one here, but not all posts do. It just kind of depends on their enthusiasm and how many people they have that are riders that are interested in doing it. But it's not a required organization to have for a post. Our membership in total, I'm gonna give you this one off the cuff, so I won't guarantee the numbers here, but we're normally right around 310 Legionnaires, roughly. I want to say our riders are around 30-ish. Our sons are a little smaller, let's say about 25, and then our auxiliary is about 30 as well. Okay. Made up, and we're always recruiting. We're always looking for more folks that want to get involved. But Raymond, as you know, with any organization, yes, we have 300 plus members. It really normally ends up being about 10 to 20 members
that go to meetings,
that come to meetings, that do the work, that stay involved. And then the rest are, some are just just want to belong to it, want to contribute, which we welcome. Others come once in a while, and we welcome that as well. But we're always up for more membership. The way we look at it with our membership in all our family organizations we'd love to have you come and join, get involved, come out for events, and be one of those 20 people that are the worker bees, right? We'd love to have more of that. But if you can't, if it's not a good place in your life and you don't have the time for that, and you just want to join the organization, it's still helpful. And this is why. One of the big things that the American Legion has the opportunity to do is they go to Congress and say, look, the Veterans Affairs or the veterans need this or need more of this. And the only reason why we're so powerful and we're so strong and have that influence is because when our national officers sit in front of Congress and say, we want to bring these issues to you, we want you to fix it, they have 12,000 posts or 1.8 million members at their backs. So when they go in there and speak, they're speaking for all those people. And that carries a lot of weight. So even if you're out there today and you're watching this and you're like, well, I don't have time to get involved, sign up. Try to get involved where you can, but sign up. It's another person on our rolls that our national officers can say, no, we have 1.9 million members. And we're speaking for all of them. You've got to fix this issue for our veterans. All of our organizations all do the same kind of thing. The Legionnaires probably have the loudest voice, but I know our auxiliaries speak up for the veteran. The sons at national levels do the same thing, and the riders as well. So it's all about supporting veterans is really what the whole major organization is. Everybody with kind of their own little thing.
Okay. And now that we've gone over the macroscopic level, you've got your post, and I guess the first question it has, what is a veterans engagement center?
So that's a great question. So this Veterans Engagement Center was an idea that we came up with as a post. So we've been without a building since about 2016, when our old facility was bought by the city to place the new police department there. And so they bought the building from us. And then the goal at that time, and this was before my time, was we need to find a new home. And so they were searching for one, but they were unable to find a home. They bought some property with the intention of maybe someday in the future building on that property. And so when I became commander, when they asked me to serve as commander, every time a commander, takes over, steps in, they try to come up with a couple of goals, just to like guide everybody. And this is where I want to head. And so, my goals for our facility, or for our post at the time when I became commander, was we want to increase our membership. Right. We wanted to bring some more people into the American Legion and all the family organizations. Wanted to bring the family together. That was my second goal, was to bring the organizations together, because at the time, everybody was kind of doing their own thing. They weren't really working as a family. And so, how it is when you don't work as a team, then your team doesn't progress as far as it could if you were.
Exactly.
And then my third goal was, and it was pretty lofty at the time, was we need a home. We were meeting in a fire department, or we were meeting here, and, stuff was stored at this person's house and that person's house. And, it made it really hard. We worked hard. We still supported our veterans. We still did a lot of great things, but not having a home just made everything so much harder. So that was my third goal at the time. And so talking about that goal, we were like, okay, well, how are we going to come up with a building? Where are we going to get a building? Where are we going to get all the money to buy a building? Because anybody that's looked at real estate, they don't get cheaper. They really don't. It doesn't go down in price. Everything gets more expensive. And so as we were trying to come up with ideas for doing that, we were like, okay, so let's say we come up with the money. So what do we want in a building? And, what we came up with was our veteran population is really changing from what it used to be, right? So, after World War II and the Korean War and in the Vietnam era, a lot of those veterans, almost all the World War II veterans, have all gone on now, right? And we don't have near as many Korean veterans anymore, and we're starting to lose a lot of Vietnam veterans, and the bulk of our veterans are younger people. And so our thought process is what do younger people need? What do they want, right? And so we thought, well, younger people have kids, and they don't want to come to a Legion, because when everybody says American Legion, the first thing they think of is a bar. Right? They don't want to bring their kids to a bar. They're trying their best to raise these young children, and taking them to a bar is not what they wanted to do. And then the other thing we took into consideration too was we have a lot of veterans who've returned from war and who just are struggling with alcoholism. And so our goal is to support veterans, and here we are inviting them to a bar, right? So, we said to ourselves, how does that make sense? That we're trying to help them with alcoholism, but we're inviting them to a bar to do it. And so that's kind of where the idea fostered and came from. And there are other American Legion posts out there in our district that don't have a bar in their facility. They have very nice facilities, but they don't have alcohol. They just have not done that. So we kind of led to the idea of, all right, well, if we're not going to focus on being a bar, what are we going to focus on, right? Well, what are our pillars, right? We want to support veterans. So how can we do that? Well, then that's when the idea came up, well, let's do an engagement center, a place where veterans can come and we can help them. We can provide programs, or we can provide a facility like this computer lab that we're in tonight, right? So we have some donated computers that one of our Legionnaires and riders is very computer savvy, and he's got them all up and running. And so now veterans can come here in the future And if they need to work on a resume, or they need to get on a VA website to apply for benefits, or whatever they need a will, we have a computer access with internet here for them to be able to do that, right? So that we can help them. So the idea just kind of kept growing of how can we help them? Oh, let's how we can do it. So the more and more we talked about it, we thought, look, we've got to brand ourselves. Because anytime people say American Legion, the first thing they think is bar. So we've got to come up with a way to brand ourselves to kind of set us aside from all the rest of the American Legions. Don't get me wrong, I am not putting down my fellow Legions at all. We all work well together. But we weren't ready for that kind of a situation. And honestly, our building isn't large enough to house that kind of a facility anyway. So what we came up with was, all right, we've got to break the thought process. So we got to come up with a name. And so Veterans Engagement Center came out of all that discussion and all that thought process. And so that's kind of where we landed with it. And we were like, I think, we were all like, we think this is a good idea. My officers, my trustees, our membership. And what really kind of sold it home for us was, and while we knew that, was we were here working on the property one day, and a lady stopped up and rolled her window down, and she said, "Hey, what's going on? Is it going to be a church again?" And I said, "No, ma'am, it's going to be an American Legion Veterans Engagement Center." Well, she instantly got upset. Well, that's the last thing that we need is another bar. We have enough alcohol. She just totally, and I let her finish, and I said, well, ma'am, this is a Veterans Engagement Center, which means we don't have a bar. We don't serve alcohol. We don't have a bar. We are here to engage with our veterans and help them. And she thought it was the greatest thing ever. So when that interaction happened, it really kind of set into us that the name really needed to do that, and we needed to create this facility. And it's kind of a little bit of the backstory. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but it's kind of the backstory.
No, this is great.
Where we got to it. But I just want to say that I'm honored and proud to be the post commander of Berkeley Post 14. It's a lot of work, but I'm honored to do it. But, like I said during our grand opening event, I have the honor and the privilege to wear the commander pin on my hat. But everything that this facility has done so far and everything that it's going to do in the future could not be done without all of my officers, without my family member groups, and without the membership, because everybody works as a team, and that's why we're having such great success. And I'm just the guy that says, hey, let's go this way, and points us in a direction. And then everybody else says, okay, let's go this way and let's do this. And we build on everybody's ideas, and we try to value everybody's opinion. And we're just trying to head in a good direction. So far, I think it's been pretty good. We've had some hiccups on the way, but we're still moving, and that's what I think is real important.
And there's the logo of the Veterans Engagement Center, and actually, that answered a lot of my questions. Made things a lot easier for me. Tonight. So this is this a new concept among Legion posts? Have you heard of something like this being done elsewhere?
So, like I said, there is the American Legion in Kaiser is a facility that does not have a bar to my knowledge. But as far as any other quote unquote named Veterans Engagement Centers, I actually Googled it before tonight because I wanted to make sure that I had my information right. And proud to say, when I Googled it, it brought up our Veterans Engagement Center.
Awesome.
But it didn't bring up any other per se Veterans Engagement Centers. Now, don't get me wrong. The American Legion as a whole and other American Legions throughout our district, throughout our state, throughout our neighboring states, they all do programs like we do. They all do things to support veterans. They all do things to support family members. They have programs where they bring veterans in and they have, educational things and stuff like that. They do, which is what we're going to do. But to my knowledge, we're the only one in the state whose primary focus, without question, is veterans engagement. It's in the name. But we're not the only one helping veterans by any means.
No, I get. Do you think this will catch on? Looking in your crystal ball, do you think this will catch on?
I think it will. I mean, I think the idea that we came up with and the reasoning behind why we came up with it, I think makes sense. And I feel like other organizations are going to realize that, hey, that makes a lot of sense, right? If we can stay open and, without having to have a bar and do those things and still support, maybe we should try it. So I think it might catch on. Again, I am not saying that the other American Legions that have a bar are bad or, are not helping veterans. Not even a little am I implying that. It's just the path that we chose to take here at Berkeley Post 14 right now, is to try it in a different way. And it may not be any more successful than other posts. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay. Agent Pepsi 1 says, please let Charles know both the VFW and the American Legion are nothing but bars around here. I refuse to be part of that. No fun stuff here. And she is an Army vet.
Well, I can understand. I understand that. I do. I was having a conversation just the other day with a veteran who had heard about us, was new to the area, and stopped down to see if we really had a building here. And I just happened to be here. And so he came to the door. We had an opportunity to chat. And he said a lot of the same things. Look, I've been approached before to be in the American Legion, but I'm just not really interested in, being involved with an organization that supports the alcohol issue. So it's easy for us here, but what I would say to you is go and get involved with one of those groups, the American Legion, the VFW, maybe you have an AMVETS chapter there, and still be supportive. So don't support the bar, don't be involved with those kind of aspects. But I would like to be sure that, if it's an American Legion, they're doing Americanism stuff. They're doing children and youth stuff. Now, do they have a bar? Do they have a canteen? Do they try to bring people in to generate that income? Yep, they sure do. And a lot of places do that. But there's more to it than that. Just don't get involved with that part. Be like, no, I'm not really into that. But what else do you do? And if they do something, that's the group to join. And if they're like, well, we just kind of come and hang out and, we have drinks and we'll have meals. Okay, well, maybe that's not the organization for you. There are plenty of veteran service organizations for you to get involved with. There really are. So don't give up hope. Not yet.
Okay. So let's see. And I think you've answered that. Will this catch on in the Legion?
I hope so. Again, the biggest thing is I like seeing our Legions be strong, and I like seeing our Legions take efforts to support our veterans, their families. And, if they have a bar and they're doing it, as long as they're doing it, that's all that really, really matters. It just wasn't the right fit for us. And so we're just trying a little different avenue.
Okay, great. Let's see. Yeah, Agent Pepsi 1 says, yeah, the VFW's in name only. Don't do nothing, which is sad. Yeah, that is.
It is sad, but I got to say, membership is hard. It's really hard to get members right now. Because it's a different time. It's a different time and date and age of our veterans. With them being so much younger, back in when Korean War veterans came home or Vietnam veterans came home, their dads were World War II veterans, and they went right to the American Legion or right to the VFW when they got back. And it was a big part of their life. And it was just like an automatic, oh, son, you served? Well, come on in. Here's your card, right? Now you're a member. And like, if you look at, so in our building, we have a legacy wall of all the past commanders from our original commander back in 1919. Okay, his name was John H. Parks. He was our first commander that founded our Legion all the way to today. And what I've noticed looking at these, because I'll come in a lot of times and I'll just, and I don't know, maybe it's kind of corny, but I'll look at those pictures and I'll be like, come on, guys, what do you got for me? Right? Like, give me some wisdom here. Like, you guys were the leaders of this organization since 1919. And so when I looked at it, what I've noticed is back then you would see repeat last names. You know, so where the father was the commander, and then 15 years later or 20 years later, there's the same last name. And come to find out, well, that was the son, you know, that was carrying on that tradition. And that's just our commanders, you know, which is that's one person, right, as compared. And there's a lot of that going on. But what we're seeing is a lot of that is changing now. It's not as much of a tradition where, well, the father served, the son, it's just a given. The son will serve, right? And then the grandson will serve. It still happens. It does. But it just doesn't seem to be as prevalent as what I think it used to be. And so it is really hard to get folks to, because everybody's busy, right? It's a rat race. Everybody's doing something all the time, especially when you have small kids and, you know, they're baseball and everything else. And it's hard to find time to add one more thing to the list.
True.
So it's hard to get members. And by being hard to get members, it makes it hard for organizations to do things. And I know it sounds a little bit like I'm making excuses for them, and I guess I kind of am. I guess I'm mostly just really trying to be encouraging of, don't write them off yet. Go take a peek. See what they really have. Maybe they need you as much or more than you think they do, right? They need that strong person who has an opinion, who's not afraid to say, I'll go to a school and teach those young kids how to fold a flag and why it's important. Or I'll ride on a float at a parade for Veterans Day so people can come out and thank veterans, not necessarily me. I don't go to the Veterans Day parade so people can thank me personally, but I like walking down the street on Veterans Day in the parade, which we just did Saturday, and we'll hand out flags to the young kids, and their parents are like, you thank him for his service. That right there starts a conversation later on. Mommy, why did you tell me to thank him? What does that mean? And so now we have that whole conversation going, right? That's Americanism. Mm-hmm. It's a little tiny thing of Americanism, but a pebble into a pond creates a wave, right? Mm-hmm. And they just keep getting bigger and they keep going. Maybe that's all it is. That's all it takes is that little pebble to throw in there.
Yeah. On a personal note, we were at a restaurant. I had my retired hat, which I rarely go without. Excuse me. And we went in and walked into the line, and this little boy comes over to me and he says, "Sir, can I give you this?" And he gave me an Armed Forces coin. It was, I had a lump in my throat. He couldn't have been maybe 10. So his parents taught him right.
Exactly. Right. And you know what? Maybe that started because they saw a flyer or they happened to be at the parade and said, what's that about? Right. Or we're at a Christmas parade. There's American Legion float. And they're like, what is that? American what? Right. And that's what gets it started. And then that young man learns. And the next thing you know, he's bigger and he has respect and he understands. Uh-huh. So it's got to start somewhere. And we got to start it by doing it. Yeah. Can't give up.
No. Okay. What are your plans for the future of the Post?
So our Post plans are always evolving, to be honest. It always seems like something new. So one of the things we just did the other day was we had our first blood drive. So our wonderful auxiliary, partnered up, of course, with the American Red Cross. They were looking for a facility here in Martinsburg to host a blood drive. And we're going to continue to host them. I think it's about every 8 weeks. They'll be back here. But for our first event of a blood drive here at our facility, I think our quota was like 28 pints. And I think we ended up pulling in like 25 or 26, which was excellent.
Yeah.
So we're going to see more of them coming. So as far as our engagement events, we want to try to do one a quarter, at least, to get us going. So our first event, our first Veterans Center engagement event, official engagement event anyway, is coming up, and it's this November. It's the 19th, which is next week, right? There's our flyer. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
So our first engagement event, we've teamed up with the Mortgage Center. We've teamed up with the 4-state Community Veterans Engagement Board, and of course, the American Legion family. And so at the event, where we want all veterans in the area to come out to this, as many as we can get here, we're going to talk about things about like property tax exemption. Did you know that if you're 100% service or 100% disabled veteran in West Virginia, you can apply not to pay property tax? That's a significant thing. Well, that's new to the state. And so a lot of veterans aren't aware that it even exists or how to apply. So we're going to have a guest speaker that's going to talk to us briefly about that. We're also going to have someone talk to us about eligibility, eligible properties, and financing for veterans who want to buy their first home or buy another home or want to sell a home. We're going to have a section about busting the myths about VA loans. So Ms. Stotler is going to speak to us on that, about the myths that people think, well, I can't get a VA loan because I don't have the greatest credit, or I can't get VA loans because it's too hard to get financing because they want you to do all these extra things in the house and people won't do them. She's going to bust those myths. And then we're going to talk about purchase and refinance options. So we're going to have loan folks here that you can go and talk to them one-on-one. So the goal is those 4 topics are going to be covered in about a 15-minute max time period. They're just going to give you the down and dirty, the upfront information. Then the next speaker is going to go. And at the end of our first hour, we're going to stop the presentations, and those folks that presented are going to be at tables throughout the building. So a veteran that shows up and he's like, I'm not 100% disabled, so the property tax thing doesn't work for me, but I'm interested in getting a VA loan. So I want to go to that table. And then they can get one-on-one information and then possibly set up a time to speak to someone even more in depth at a later time. We're going to have light refreshments for the night. And we're also going to do a drawing. So we've got some support from some companies. So we're going to have a couple door prizes. So show up, put your name in, fill a little sheet out for your name. And then after the first hour, the hour of talks, we're going to draw the winners out. Things like a card for Home Depot. So if you get a new home and you use your VA loan, there's always something you got to fix, right? You need something, even if it's a doormat.
Exactly.
So we'll have a couple door prizes to give away to people who attend. So November the 19th, 6 p.m. here at 300 East Stevens Street will be our first scheduled event.
Awesome.
Some other upcoming events that we have, we are planning to do is we want to do a veterans education series. So we're going to bring in education experts. We're going to bring people to talk about VA education benefits. We're going to bring people in from trade schools, from local community colleges, have them do the same kind of format, a little spiel, a little talk, and then breakout, right? I'm interested in a trade school. Well, we're going to have trade school people here as our goal. We're going to have college people here that is our goal, so that veterans can get help with things they need, like education. Maybe they have a job and they're like, if I could just figure out how to get this education, this schooling, this degree, man, it would make my life so much better, because then I could get a better job, and just one thing leads to another, right? Well, we want to try to provide that opportunity to bring people together to get that information. We're planning on doing one about veterans' health and wellness. So again, focusing on whole veteran wellness, mental health resources, physical fitness, and nutrition will all be on the agenda for that event. That'll probably be, we don't have a date set for that one yet, but I look for that one to be in the fall of next year. And then I look for the education series to be in the spring, the probably late spring-ish time period of this year for that one. So, for right now, those are our couple main ones, the three main ones, the one we're doing next week. And then the other two that we have coming. The other thing that we're going to start doing is, and we're teaming up with the VA for this. And you may have seen these posted up. They do coffee with veterans, things like that. And the VA helps coordinate this. And it's just, they go to different locations. Might be a restaurant, might be a church, and there'll be coffee, maybe donuts there. And it's just an opportunity for veterans to stop in and have a cup of coffee or soda and just sit around and connect with other veterans and talk, and find out about opportunities or resources that are around. So we're going to do it a little different here at the Berkeley Post 14. We're going to do Coffees with Ron. So one of my trustees, and he's also my sergeant in arms, Ron, is Ron, I love you, but Ron's a talker. Ron loves to talk to people. And he's got some of the absolute best stories. And he will tell them to you. He'll listen to your stories. And so I've talked to Ron. I said, Ron, can we do Coffees with Ron? Can that be you? Can you take that on? And he said, I will take it on under one condition. And I said, all right, Ron, what's your one condition? It can't just be coffee. There's got to be donuts. Fair enough, Ron. I think I can meet that requirement.
Yeah.
So we're going to start that. You're going to see that here pretty soon. We're going to get that on the schedule and team up with the other locations that are doing the coffee events. And we're just going to put a little spin on ours by having it with Coffee with Ron. But again, it's just an opportunity for veterans to connect with other veterans, and have a place where they can go and just have a cup of coffee and chat, and talk about, issues that they have in common, because that's what helps people, is having that outlet to talk and to share, and so that they're not alone.
And that is important. So at this point, we're going to open it up to comments and questions with the chat. I've seen a bunch of comments and stuff like that. Snorta Pupus says the local Legion Post held events with reenactors displaying uniforms and equipment from previous wars. Do you foresee doing something like that?
It's a possibility. I think so. I know that we get involved with the Berkeley County Veterans Ceremony Committee that we help organize, which we just did our Veterans Day event. And during, not this one, but the previous one, we were able to get some local reenactors to come out. So that's a great idea. I'm making notes about these things. And that's definitely one that we may look into. Again, anything we can come up with that will drag veterans and veteran families to our facility so we can help them. It's within reason. We're all about it.
Let's see. Legata's comment on this is happening all over Western civilization, teaching the youth to dislike their nation and culture. That we see that happening, and unfortunately, we are here to combat that.
We are 100%. And that's a great question. And it brings me to something that I just like to touch on really quickly is the American Legion has a program called Boys State and Girls State. And it is, and we're here at Post 14, we are proud to sponsor these youth. It's for 11th graders. It's a week-long immersion program where high school juniors learn how government, leadership, and civic responsibilities work in action. So we support this every year by we'll raise funds. Normally we do a challenge. I always talk to the, wife and chief in charge first, but her and I always sponsor at least one boy going to Boys State, which is about $350. And I always throw the challenge out to my fellow officers and members to say, all right, I've got one. Here's my check. Who else is going to do it with me? And so we've been able to sponsor quite a few kids over the years. And it's a great program because it's helping to combat just what you're talking about. That whole thing of kids being taught that our country's not important. Let them go outside our country and see how important our country is, right? That would change it. But the youth, they don't do that. They don't see that.
Yeah.
Right. But us veterans and us family members of veterans who've been in other countries and hear our stories, they understand it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Sandra said, I didn't join until recently because I was told as a female I can only be an auxiliary member. As a vet, it was either I'm a regular member or I'm not a member. Well, she resolved that. She's now a full member.
Excellent. Now we have a couple female veterans that belong to our post. And we're very proud to have them, and we're working pretty hard to get some more, actually. Back in World War II, the number of male veterans to female veterans is pretty lopsided. And it's still primarily more male than female, but those have definitely shifted. There's a lot of female veterans out there, and any post that is foolish enough to not want them is making a mistake. Agreed. I can say that. So without question. So I'm glad you finally got that resolved, and welcome to being a Legionnaire.
Yep. Okay, let's see. Looking for questions. I know I've seen a bunch. Okay. And Crouching Taylor, Hidden Swift, with a $1 super sticker. Thank you very much, sir. Help keep the lights on here. All right. Let's see. Sandra says, a bar and atmosphere is not welcoming to anyone. I like that we don't have a bar. It's much more welcoming to everyone. Yeah.
I cannot argue that point with you at all. I agree. Bars have their place. I just don't think it should be the first thing you see when you walk in the door.
Exactly. Or the first thing mentioned, like you said, with that woman who said, I didn't want another bar here.
Right.
Max Redstone says, so Veterans Engagement Center isn't a place for a veteran to engage with a cold beer. Well,
yeah, not at ours anyway. Definitely not a place to engage with a cold beer for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Fez Forever says, sounds like you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yes. We had a great showing at the grand opening. That was awesome. Max Redstone says, thank you those for few veterans for the service. I appreciate the liberty you gave me. Well, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we did that one. Let's see. Going through. Here's one. Do the American Legion and the VFW get along okay, generally speaking?
Well, that I can speak for here in Berkeley County. So here in Berkeley County, yes, we get along very well. I try to speak highly of them. Someone's like, hey, I want to join the VFW. We direct them there. You can be a member of multiple organizations. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. At one point in time, here at Berkeley Post 14, along with Post 896, VFW post here in Martinsburg, I hope I got that number right, we had a combined honor guard. So at one time, we combined the two organizations to form an honor guard so that we could pay respects to fallen soldiers. We could do ceremonies and things of that nature. Well, over the years, it's kind of slipped away. So one of our strategic goals for next year is we're going to try to bring back the honor guard program. And of course, we're going to open it up to members of the VFW that want to participate. We have two great AMVET posts here in Berkeley County, one in Inwood and one in Falling Waters. We have the Marine Corps League. So we're going to open it up to the other service organizations, and anybody that wants to take part in it, they're going to be welcome. Because we're veteran service organizations. Rather, we're purple or blue or red or green, we're still the same organization, and we're still all trying to help veterans.
Okay. Fez Forever asks, for a veteran's funeral service to be performed, what are the steps involved in making it happen? That's a good question.
That is a very good question. So, man, there's a lot to that answer. So what I'll say is that depending on the veteran's level of service, right, rather he was an active duty member who retired with 20 years, that entitles to one thing. If he was a veteran who only served a couple of years, might be entitled to something different. And some of it depends on availability of the active duty members to come up and be able to support it. As far as if someone is a veteran and they, because of their quantity of service or whatever the requirements are, and the active duty folks aren't able to support it, or you would like additional support for it, you can reach out to your local post, your local American Legion, your local VFW, and say, hey, my dad passed away. He is a veteran, or he was a veteran, but he only served a short period of time, and we've come to find out that we're not eligible for the full active duty ceremonial honor guard. Is there anything that the Legion can do? So here in Martinsburg, you can reach out to the American Legion, and we will do our best to come and support you. And a lot of times, or support the veteran, I should say, we've done things like flag lines where our Legion family will get together and we will stand a post outside the funeral home for the viewing, all holding American flags in honor of that veteran. We've done graveside support where we'll go and fold the flag for the family and present the flag. We'll do flag lines there. Sometimes we've been able to combine with the American Legion in Charlestown, West Virginia, Post 71, to provide some additional assistance. We were able to do a salute with the blanks and the rifles. We were able to fold the flag, and we had some folks standing a flag line. So it really, a lot of it depends on what the local chapters have available, and then, of course, people to do it. But I would definitely say, if you find yourself in that situation, reach out to your local American Legion or VFW or AMVETS and say, can you help us? We would like to do this. What's available?
Okay. Yeah, I've been on a flag line and I found it very, very meaningful. Okay. Here in the birthplace of naval aviation, there's plenty of bars, liquor stores, and AA meetings all around town so that the VFW hall can be more of a VFW hall. I'm sure it has a bar too. And Snortapoopa says the reenactors hold events at the local VFW post. Okay. Boy, we're really getting harsh on the VFW. Has anyone ever guessed that the VFW might stand for very fat whale? Speaking on behalf of a certain polar bear. Let's see. My father I know is a member of the American Legion, a life member, I think, but he has only gone to the post. He is a member of only a few times, if any. So what's okay? He mentioned a life member. What is that?
So, American Legion nationally offers a program. It's called Paid Up for Life. And so essentially what it is you can tell them how old you are, things of that nature, and they come up with a dollar amount that you have to pay, which is equivalent to so many years of your yearly dues at the current rate. And then you just pay that sum of money, which makes you a life member. So then there's no more dues collected. And every year, then on after, you automatically get your membership card. Now, being a member of American Legion entitles you to go to any American Legion anywhere. So I know that my family and I, we take a vacation every summer at Ocean City. And the American Legion in Ocean City has a very nice facility. And they have a really good canteen. So we usually try to go in there while we're down in Ocean City. And, you walk in the door, I just show them my card. They're like, welcome, come on in. And then we'll go in and eat. And the meals are pretty inexpensive compared to eating anywhere else in Ocean City, of course. And they're exceptionally well. They're really good meals. So we try to do that. We try to stop into other posts when we're out and about, just to stop in, say hi. I like to go in, honestly. I like to go in and see how they decorate their building. Like, what ideas do they have that post is doing that I can steal and bring home to our post? So I kind of go with ulterior motive a lot of times, but I am, I guess one of my mottos in life is I do not like to invent the wheel. I will steal your wheel. Right. And I will bling that thing up to be mine. Right. I will take the hard work you put into it and add my hard work to it to make it better. And so I kind of like try to do that when we're out and around. I think the missus has caught on to me, and she's like, we're not going there. There's nothing there for you to see tonight. I'm like, okay.
Nothing to see.
Nothing there to see.
Yeah. Let's see. It's far in between today, but there are still like people like that. Yeah. I've already given blood. I played ice hockey. Yeah, that's a good spot to give blood. Sandra asked, what event are you talking about on this one?
The mortgage one.
Is the mortgage one going to be online, or for those?
So is it going to be broadcast online?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be broadcast online for this one. That's a great question, and that's a great suggestion, honestly. And that's something that I think we could end up doing in the future. But with us being so new to the building and trying to get everything aligned, we're not quite set yet to broadcast. But we do want to do that. And that's a great suggestion. That would be awesome for our veterans who aren't close enough to come in, or, somewhere else. And they're like, well, I've never heard of this, but I'm really interested.
Yeah.
So that's something we definitely should look into doing in the future. That's a great suggestion, Sandra. Thank you so much.
Snorter Poopus has a good one. Do members of the VA visit local schools and give talks?
So do members of the American Legion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's saying VA as a whole, but we could say the American Legion. Do we go out to talk to schools?
So that's something else that we used to do that all the time. Like, we were very active in doing that with our Americanism programs. We had things set up at the schools where we had a team of Legion family members who would go out to the schools. They would conduct flag education, flag etiquette, teach the kids how to fold the flags, hey, you're supposed to stand up and put your hand over your heart for this, or, you should do this during the Pledge of Allegiance, things of that nature. Unfortunately, when we lost our building, a lot of our membership kind of like died off a little bit. And so we haven't been able to sustain that. But I'm hoping that can be another goal to start being able to do that. Now, we've still done it a little bit. Since I've been commander, I can think of 2 or 3 times when we've gone out to some schools and provided some flag education, or been there for Veterans Day ceremonies for the schools. So we've done it, but it's very much limited right now. But American Legions as a whole, they do interact with the schools quite a bit with those kind of programs.
Okay. Hello, Jason Love. How are you? Okay. Let's see. Oh. Okay. Max Redstone asks, who is your favorite military character in fiction, either regular or animated? Ooh.
Wow. So I'd probably have to say, and I've actually stole a line from this movie for a Veterans Day, I think it was Veterans Day speech that I gave out at the park, and it was from Saving Private Ryan. So I really enjoyed that movie, and I like how in Tom Hanks, the role that Tom Hanks played is probably my favorite one that I can really think of off the top of my head. But this part of the movie that I stole for the speech, or I guess I borrowed would really be a better term, was the part where the general talks about the letter, and he reads a copy of the letter that Lincoln wrote about saving the mother's last son during the Civil War, which was kind of the premise for the Saving Private Ryan movie. And I actually used that in a speech, but I really enjoyed his character, and I really enjoyed, just how he developed it and who he was in it. I guess is the best answer I got for you.
Okay. Hello, Dad Man Walking. How are you? Okay, let's see. Looking. Jason Love says, happy late Veterans Day. Yes. Fez Forever says, I'm planning to have the American Legion come and give a talk at my Masonic Lodge next November, as I'm going to be worshipful master again the coming year. Nice.
So a lot of American Legions have a program, maybe it's not the right word, but have a thing that they can present. It's called the 4 Chaplains. So, and it's based off of 4 chaplains who are on a particular boat. And I'm talking about something that I don't know a whole lot of information about, so I probably shouldn't be. But when you reach out to them, you could ask them about it, and they'd be able to give you a whole lot more information. But it's kind of more of a religious type ceremony kind of thing. So it would definitely be something to discuss with them and see if they have the ability to do the 4 chaplains program.
Okay. And Snortopupus says, speaking of older members, does your post have any members from the World War II or Korean War era?
We do. So we have a World War II member who is 105 years old.
I tried to get him on, but
yeah, he is. He was at our grand opening. We recognized him at the grand opening, and he is a character for 105 years old. He is an absolute character. And they say do not play pool with a man unless you like to lose money. So at 105 years old, apparently he's still a bit of a pool shark. But just as nice a guy could be for 100. I mean, still very much has all his, his abilities. He's still, he'll just tell you stories and talk to you. So it's pretty amazing. And then my Coffees with Ron. Ron is a Korean War veteran as well. But to my knowledge, we only have one World War II veteran still with us.
Okay. Yeah, sadly they're starting to. They're far and few between.
Yeah.
Let's see. And Snort says yes. Meant the American Legion, not the VA. Let's see. Legatus Legionii says, when it comes to visiting or moved veterans from other nations, so non-U.S. veterans, are they allowed or welcomed in?
So I believe they are. This is something I don't have a great deal of information about, but I recently learned that there is an avenue for, I think they have to be allies of America, and they still have to meet the other requirements like be a veteran, be honorably discharged. But I do believe that other countries' veterans can join the American Legion.
Oh, wow. Nice. Jason Love says, LOL, getting hustled by Captain America.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. All right. Now, the most important question of the night is asked by Sandra Feliciano. What is your favorite cookie?
My favorite cookie.
Yes.
Probably no-bake cookies.
No-bake cookies.
Yeah, the oatmeal no-bake cookies. Peanut butter or chocolate are probably my favorite cookies.
All right. Okay. Wow. Let's see it. Go away. I don't need insurance. I hate those phones. Okay. I think Snort says, I hope he's had a chance to interview with a living history recorder. The veteran. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. FKHC says, I know one was welcome at the American Legion post. My great granddad was the head of, and he fought against for the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Ooh. Okay. Let's see. Good question, Sandra. Is a uniform required to attend meetings? Chuck, you still there? Oh, no.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
If you come to the meeting, you'll probably see me wearing my hat, but no uniforms required whatsoever.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh. Do you participate in Reefs Across America or other outside activities?
We do. We'll be doing our Reefs Across America. I think the last total that I checked was we had 120 sponsored wreaths for this year, which is a little lower than in previous years. But we will be laying those wreaths on, I believe it's December the 13th in the morning. And what we have done in the past is we try to do the unsung or the smaller cemeteries where, because a lot of the larger cemeteries, they get the wreaths all the time. So we've gone out and searched for smaller church-based cemeteries, and we try to pay respects there with our wreaths.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let me show the two websites. This one is the American Legion website, and it's www.legion.org.
Yep.
And it's got all information for the American Legion. And the next one. Let's see. Did it? Okay. And this one is the local Berkeley Post 14. All right. So you can go to the Post 14 link.
Yep.
One Legion, one family.
Yep. That's our motto.
Yep.
We're really working hard with our social media presence, and so starting off pretty hard with our website here. It's a whole new look. We call it the 2.0 version, and I've got a public relations guy who's my second vice, Ryan. He does awesome work, and he's really working hard to keep this thing current and up to date. So if you want to know what we're doing here at Berkeley Post 14, that website is the place to go, because we're keeping it up to date. It's got information on our upcoming events. It's got tributes to our past members who's passed on. So it's got a link on there for our Hometown Heroes banner project. So I'll throw that out there real quick. You can, if you see it just over my shoulder here, is a mock-up of one of them that we have. So what we've been doing for several years now is Hometown Heroes. If you've been to Pennsylvania, you've seen them, because like every city in Pennsylvania has them. They're great. So we started it here in Martinsburg a couple years back. We have about 15 or 16 of them out. They're still out right now. They come out before Veterans Day, and they stay up usually November, definitely through Memorial Day, but they usually leave them up a couple more weeks before they have to put other decorations up. And it's just a way to honor our veterans. Now, we don't limit it just to veterans. So, we recognize it's a hometown hero. Well, that can be a police officer. It can be a fireman. It can be an emergency medical technician, a doctor, a nurse. So if you have a family member or yourself and you're here in the Berkeley County area and you want to do that, you can go to our website, and all the information on how to get one is there. And then we'll get it ordered, and we'll get it up for next year, starting in before Veterans Day, and it'll be displayed in the city of Martinsburg. If it's okay with you, there's one more thing I want to tote out there really quick, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So the other activity I just want to, do a little spiel about is the American Legion Oratorical Contest. This is a great opportunity for high school students. So if you're listening tonight, you're on this show, and you're like, I have a 9th through 12th grader at home, and West Virginia offers a 4-year free scholarship to a West Virginia school if you win the oratorical contest. So what is an oratorical contest? So what happens is every year they come out with some Americanism topic, right? And so it's kind of like a constitutional speech contest. It challenges students to develop speeches on the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. It's public speaking. So they'll get the general guidance of what amendments they have to prepare and what the theme is, and then they prepare an oration. It lasts a set amount of time, and they deliver it. And then once all the contestants go the first round, they get told they have to prepare 3 others. They find out 5 minutes before they got to deliver which of those 3 topics they got to deliver it on. They come back out on the stage, no podium, no notes, no PowerPoints, no microphone. And they give their oration for the shorter period of time. And then a winner is picked. We do it a district level, a sectional level, and a state level. Top 3 winners at all of those levels get money. They go home with some money. The winner at the state level gets to go to national. Just for showing up at national, the state winner gets $2,000 to use for education, for a college, for a trade school. It's whatever they want to use it for. If they win at the national level, it's $25,000. That's a lot of money, especially if it's a West Virginia student who won, because they already have their 4 years of college paid for. Now they have $25,000 to add to it. So I like to throw that out there. It's a great opportunity that just doesn't seem to be being, grabbed a hold of by the students here in Berkeley County. We have the 4 largest high schools in the state, and yet we don't get a lot of participation, unfortunately. So if you have someone at home like that, and you're like, that'd be great for them, they're good at public speaking, or they're great at memorizing things of that nature, hit our website up, reach out to us, say, hey, I'm interested. How can I find out more information? We have information on our website, and we'll get you even more information. So that's the first. Our district is coming up in January. Pretty sure it's January. Will be the first one. So if you know somebody that's interested, send them our way. And if you're not in Berkeley County, or even if you're not in West Virginia, this is done across the nation. So reach out to your local American Legion and say, hey, I have a kid who's interested in doing this, my grandson or my daughter or my son. They'll know about it. They'll get you involved.
Awesome. Okay. One last question from Sandra, and then we will start wrapping it up. Sandra asks, you mentioned the sons. Are there daughters?
So there are not a particular daughters program, but daughters can be part of the auxiliary.
Okay. All right. Well, I think at this point, we will go to show notes, and then we will start wrapping this up. Give me a second here. Take care of something right quick. All right. Oh, I hate Twitter at times. Go away. There it goes.
Should warn them not to drink when you're playing this. Warn them not to drink when you're playing some of this stuff.
Okay. Okay, here we go. We're going to go to show notes. Make sure you're not drinking anything. You may end up spitting something. Let's see.
It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. Yeah, with Mr. Reagan and Sandra too. It's time for show notes. We're bringing it on. It's time for show notes. You've all been warned. It's time for show notes.
It's show notes. We've got, first off, let us do the standard Snorter Pooper's exit. Take care of every human, dolphin, doggo, Dalek, ferret, eagle, hedgehog, and vaquita. TM, a wholly owned subsidiary of the DolphinWars.com. And here is a vaquita. He looks familiar. Might be one of my cousins. Okay. Thank you, Snorter Poopus. Okay. Vaquita. Yeah, me must be cousin Vaquita. Right. And hello, Marcelo Lopez, who says, doing my part to bump you all up. Couldn't make the whole stream, but wanted to say thank you. You are most welcome. Okay. So let me. Okay. Okay. We've got this Saturday is just cause the show where everything can happen usually does, and the kitty table is open for business. On the 19th, a week from today, we will have Radio King Dolphin TV. The not ready for pod time players will be reading the final chapter, the final part of All's Fair, a Dolphin Wars novel, Endgame. It will be a long one, so we're gonna get started right away from when we get into the show. On the 26th, we will do our Thanksgiving Eve episode with a segment of Cooking with Sandra. And in December, our themed show on the 13th will be the car show. And then we also will have our Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve shows that coincidentally fall on Wednesdays. So those will be coming up. So that is show notes. And okay, so we shall. Huh? Oh yes. Before we go, before I thank everybody, Legatus Legionii put a poem out here, and I think because yesterday was Armistice Day as well as Veterans Day, I'm going to read in Flanders Field by John McCrae. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If we break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Field. So I thought that since we have Canadians here as well as Americans, November 11th is Remembrance Day and Armistice Day as well as Veterans Day. So I thought I would read that out. Okay. Let me thank everybody who has visited. And I hope you all have enjoyed the show. We had Crouching Taylor, Hidden Swift. We had the great Dad Man Walking. We had Jason Love, Lombardi, 1969. Marcelo Lopez. And those were our guests. And now the amazing Lifeguard Corps. We had our producer, Sandra, and also had some great questions. We had Agent Pepsi 1. Thank you for being here. We had FKHC 2005. We had Legatus Legionii. Max Redenstone is here. And we have Snorterpoopus Cuber. Thank you all for being here tonight and taking part in our annual Veterans Day show. I appreciate everything you guys do. And thank you very much. And thank you, Chuck, for being here. It was a pleasure, an honor, and I hope you enjoyed doing it.
I did. Thank you. Thank you again for inviting us and giving me the opportunity to tell you guys all about the great things we're doing here at Berkeley Post 14.
All right. Stick around afterwards. I just want to chat with you, see how things went. All right, everybody. Good night, and I hope you all have a great rest of the week, and we will see you on Saturday for Just 'Cause. Let's keep making some waves. Night, all.
Good night.